Hey crafty friends, welcome to my channel for the Card Crafters Collaborative Holiday Magic. So I created a slimline card with a really fun technique that I was inspired just seeing a wall mural online, and I'll show you a picture of that here in a minute. So that was my background inspiration, and to me it feels really magical. I added some things that shine and sparkle, and so I'm going to show you what I did. So I'm using distress paint in Mermaid Lagoon, Cracked Pistachio, Kitsch Flamingo, Prize Ribbon, and Salvaged Patina. I have it on my work surface, and I've added a lot of water to it because I want it on the thinner side. And I kind of have a old funky paintbrush, which I think is good because see these little strokes I'm making? You kind of want to make these strokes where you have like these jagged edges coming down. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm starting with the Kitsch Flamingo here, and I'm going to show you in just a second what my inspiration is, and it was so pretty. Obviously, I am doing different colors because I need it more of a wintry theme. But here is that background. Isn't that fun? That is on somebody's wall. So that's my inspiration for this. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, I need to figure out how to make that on a card. So now I'm going to use the Cracked Pistachio, and I do want this to overlap a little bit over the other colors to blend slightly. The paint does dry fairly quick. I am also using watercolor cardstock because I didn't know how wet this was going to be. And I'm glad I did because I did end up using some more water kind of at the end after everything was painted. So again, I'm just really thinning out the paint. I'm making sure I don't have too much paint on my paintbrush. I did a practice one before this and I had done way too much paint and it did not look good, y'all. It was bad. So this one turned out way, way better. I also want to say that for this Card Crafters Collaborative, I will have everybody listed in the description. So definitely hop through. Everyone's just making their own stuff. Again, the theme is holiday magic. So, you know, we just want to inspire everybody. And this is hosted by Robin, the Delta Crafter. So shout out to her for putting this whole thing together. And it's been a lot of fun. I've done some other collaborative things with her, like a couple other, and I think it's, I think you guys enjoy it. And there's a lot of great inspiration. There's a few other creators and they are fantastic and amazing and they're so talented. So definitely, you know, slide on through to everybody's YouTube channel and check out what they've got going on. Okay, so I believe this is the Mermaid Lagoon. So again, letting it kind of overlap into the other colors, bringing it down, kind of giving it this jagged edge. Now I will say from this direction, it's funny looking and it almost kind of looks like a hot mess, but I promise you this gets better looking. And it kind of reminds me of when you see, like loosely, the, oh my gosh, I just totally forgot. Oh, the Northern Lights. I'm like, what is it called? But it kind of reminds me of that when we get done with this. So I'm just lightly blending that, kind of letting a lot of the paint come off of my brush. When I dip it in the paint, I also kind of tap it back down onto my work surface to get a lot of the paint off. And then I'm obviously cleaning my brush in between the colors. This is Prize Ribbon. Again, adding a lot of water to really thin it out. And then just kind of doing the flicking motion kind of down, whatever direction I'm going. So if I'm going down, I'm flicking it down. Or if I'm at the bottom, then I'm going to flick it up. Once I got the hang of how I wanted this to look, because like I said, I did do that first one and it was awful. This was a lot of fun. I don't usually paint on my cards, but this was a blast, you guys. And I really think like the color combinations obviously are endless. And I think you could do this for any season. And I definitely want to remember that I want to do this again. And I have to say it out loud because I tend to forget things a lot lately. So hopefully I can do this background again. So now I'm just filling in the rest of the areas. I do have a couple more areas at the top there that I decided to add a little bit more pink to. You can see kind of in the middle. And then what I'm going to do is kind of smooth out some of these jagged edges with some water when I'm done adding this pink. It doesn't soften it completely, but the paint does get wet again. So this is where I'm glad that I used the watercolor cardstock. So I'm dipping it in some water. I'm not having it too wet. Well, I'm drying out my thing. I'm going to add a little more water because it was already colored and I don't want to like muddy up my background. But where the little jagged edges are on some of them, I want to soften that up just a little bit where it has a little bit more of a blend. So as you can see, when I'm painting, it's kind of wicking away some of the paint. And at first I was like, oh no, but I actually liked it. So it was really kind of a happy accident, you know, kind of like Bob Ross says. So, but as you can see, it's getting softer in some of these areas where I'm blending. It's just kind of taking down some of the harshness. But once we add more, when we're going to add some sparkle things onto here, it just really kind of changes this whole background. And then what the card orientation is going to be upright instead of, it's going to be vertical instead of horizontal. So, and I think that makes a huge difference. But as you can see, the left side is much more soft compared to the right side because I haven't blended that out with the water yet. But that really does make a difference, I think. Now I'm also going to be using, I've got some just in my stash, some watercolor, like gold metallic watercolor, and I'm going to use that because if you noticed on that reference photo, they've got some like gold metallic paint kind of following some of these jagged lines, and so I'm definitely going to replicate that with my gold metallic watercolor. But look at how much better this looks when I softened it. I love that that changed that so much because it was a little harsh to me and I was like, oh no, this doesn't look as blended. So, you know, I'm just trying to figure it out. I've never done this before, and so I think it worked out really, really good. So here is that gold metallic watercolor. I'm just going to follow some of the little jagged areas going across the whole piece of cardstock. I'm not going to do everything because I don't want to overdo, which is really crazy for me because I love a gold anything. So to me, like the more the gold, the better, but I did not want to kill it. And so I'm just adding it in some areas, and I have a really thin paintbrush, and this paintbrush has had it, but it's so thin that it works perfect. But it's kind of highlighting some of these areas, some of these jagged areas, pulling out some of the colors, and I think it's turning out really, really pretty. Also on that reference photo, they did some dots with the gold metallic paint that they used. They also brought in, I ended up using Salvaged Patina. I didn't use that on this background. I'm using it to mix with a texture paste. And I actually got a brand new texture paste. It's brand new from scrapbook.com. It's called Cloud Whip. And it's a big old jar, you guys. Like, I think it's like 8 ounces. It's huge. So I'll be using this forever. Oh, look at how pretty that is. But I'm going to blend that with some of the Salvaged Patina because they did that on their walls. They just did with paint, but their wall was textured. And so they just added a little bit of that color, and then they also did that with just some white paint. So I'm going to replicate all of that. But here's those little dots that I was talking about that I'm just putting. I could do splatter, but I wanted this to be more controlled than splatter. So that's why I did it this way. Okay, let's bust out the Cloud Whip and the Salvaged Patina Distress Paint. But look at how big this jar is. I'm going to just do a little bit, and I actually didn't even need quite that much. I needed about half of that, but I separated out 2 pieces, one that stays white and then one that we're going to color with the paint. I have my palette knife. I'm putting just a little bit on and then just dragging it down so it looks like it's kind of just textured on the background. I will say I did notice this, not a ton, and I didn't want to overdo. So with all of my stuff on my background, I would say you could leave this step off if you, the step off if you wanted to. I still liked it, and I really liked the Salvaged Patina here that I'm mixing with the paint. So just gently pulling it up so it's not like a big glob, but as you can see, like it's almost like it's hitting against texture and creating more texture on the background. And then I can put this aside to dry, and it did dry fairly quick, but isn't that so gorgeous? One more thing though, we're going to add some Shimmery watercolor. It's from Honeybee Stamped. It's so sparkly, you guys, and I am splattering this all over the background. They didn't have anything like this, but because this is the Holiday Magic Christmas theme, I just felt like we needed some really pretty shine on the background to make it feel more holiday and more magic. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to put it aside. And I will say that Shimmery takes a really long time to dry, and I even took my heat tool to it. Okay, so I'm using Simon Says Stamps Large Joy die, and I have die cut the top, like the smaller sentiment part, 3 times from white cardstock and the shadow part from gold mirror. I thought that the white would really pop against all of the color, and all of the snowflakes are from gold mirror cardstock as well. The snowflakes are from Gina K and from Lawn Fawn. And again, I have everything listed and linked for you guys below in the description, so you guys can grab anything you might want to grab. So I die cut 3 of those from white. I'm gluing those together because that's going to give it some nice dimension. And then I'm adhering it to that gold mirror shadow, and it looks so, so pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay. I want to center that in my card because that's really what's going to stand out amongst all of the gold mirror snowflakes, because our background is what's so colorful and magical, so everything else needs to be a little more simple. Then I'm going to stamp the other part of the sentiment from Simon Says Stamp, their Tiny Words Christmas, and I love, love, love Simon Says Stamp's Tiny Words sentiments. I think they're super fantastic, but apparently I'm not getting to that yet. I'm gluing my background, which I trimmed down to 8 1/4 by 3 1/4. I'm adhering that to my gold mirror base, which is 8 1/2 by 3 1/2. Okay, so now I'm actually going to stamp the sentiment. It says the spirit of Christmas, which I think is really cute. So it's joy, the spirit of Christmas. And I'm using Honeybee Stamps new gold metallic ink, so I don't even have to heat emboss anything, which I love. But I mean, as far as like if you want to save time, this ink is fantastic, and I believe they also have silver ink. And then that Misty is an exclusive with Tailored Expressions, and it's my favorite color, and I was so excited when they sent that to me. I absolutely love it. Anyways, I had to share that. Okay, let's glue this sentiment down, just a little bit of liquid glue, and adhering it to that sentiment die. And then I can glue down my snowflakes. Obviously, I'm going to have these hang off the edge, and I will trim off the excess. Lately, I haven't been trimming the excess off my cards, but this is a lot of excess, so I am going to trim it down. But I do like that when I trim it down, it just ends at the gold mirror matte behind the card, so it kind of just blends in at the end. And I don't know why I like that, but it just looks really pretty. So like I said, these snowflakes are from Gina K and from Lawn Fawn. Then I'm going to use Honeybee Stamps. What are these called? Oh, these are the warm pearls. I'm going to add those to the centers of the snowflakes to give a little definition to the center, and it's kind of a white pearl, so it goes with the sentiment. I'm going to trim off that excess. This will be adhered to a white slimline card base, which measures 8 1/2 by 3 1/2. Now, I have from Lawn Fawn these little star-like snowflake pieces that I decided to put around just to kind of fill in a little bit more of that open space, and I think it turned out really, really lovely. So using the liquid glue to put that in place, and then this card is finished. But don't you see that background turned out so beautiful? I love it. It feels magical. It feels wintry and Christmassy, and I'm so in love with it. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you feel inspired, and I hope you guys have a really wonderful day. I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.